I want to put this on the poll, even though I know the answer to this question here amid our audience, just because we talk too much about Chris Cody owning a Cesta Cyclones highlight team. But I just want to put on the poll at Le Batard Show the question, do you know what highlight is at Le Batard Show? And I also want to put on there, is the sports anchor endangered? Yes or no? Jonathan Zaslow, who's in with us today, will have a segment on highlight here with Tony and Mike toward the end of this hour. But Jonathan Zaslow's in here today. He's a rising star at ESPN, and he's a rising star at ESPN who's creating ESPN on ESPN crime, because a coworker is mad at Jonathan Zaslow.
I heard about that.
And Jonathan Zaslow's placement in a strange place that I wasn't expecting to find him. It is a strange thing. Jonathan Zaslow was under the banner headline, Celebrity Picks.
College basketball celebrity picks.
I don't understand how you're a celebrity. I didn't understand entirely how Jai Alai would be considered a celebrity at ESPN. These are just expert picks. They're not celebrity picks. And somebody's mad that Jonathan Zaslow gets to make picks and that they don't get to make picks.
My name's right up top there. You got Dick Vitale, and it's a picture of him, and it's who he selects, and it's Seth Greenberg, and it's Jai Alai, and it's me. I'm right next to those guys, and there's my pick. Obviously, I picked the Florida Gators. That's my alma mater. But I'm right there. I'm right there on the Tournament Challenge app where you can compete against celebrities like myself. I'm right there. And from what I understand, not everybody is pleased with me being – because apparently my name is one of the first ones there. Clinton Yates, ESPN Radio. I heard today. He is not pleased that my name is right, that my picture, my name is front and center, and he's not there. He's not happy about it. Hang with him, Clinton.
Put it on the poll. Hang with him, Clinton. Yes or no? Roy, I saw a look across your face. I didn't know what it is that the thought was, so if you would like to share it with us, I'm here for it.
Yeah, probably not a good idea for me to share that right now. But, okay. Clinton Yates, good guy. I'm going to defend him in most aspects of
Did you just
life.
No comment me, Roy?
Yes, I did.
I'm with him on
You're
that.
putting me in a bad spot here.
No comment.
Roy, you were producing the day that he slept, the day that he was supposed to fill in, right?
Yes, I was there.
Cool.
Yeah.
I don't know what the look was on your face. I was confused by the look on your face. Clinton Yates is complaining about something.
I'm a celebrity picker. That's not my fault. Come on.
I don't feel like any of those people should be classified as celebrity pickers if all they're doing is being experts picking games on that website. Like, might be celebrities outside of ESPN, but I think if they're,
Well, it's because you're competing against us. You're competing against the celebrities. That's the point in the app, in the Tournament Challenge.
Have you risen to the point that you should be somewhere on the marquee with Dick Vitale?
For sure. Everybody knows, especially when it comes to college football, because I host College Football Tailgate on ESPN Radio. College football experts. You got Paul Feinbaum. You got Heather Dinich. You got me. Everybody knows those are your college football experts. College basketball, I'm not going to say that I'm exactly a college basketball expert, but certainly there are people out there who would like to compete against me. And that's why I'm up there with Seth Greenberg and Jai Alai and Dick Vitale.
Zaslow, why was it that you didn't know like half the people on my list?
Yo, don't worry about that, all right? All you need to know is that you can compete against me in the Tournament App Challenge. That's it. That's all you need to know. No one's interested in how many players I can name. Nobody's ever thought about that.
I was going to ask Tony what that look was on his face when I called Zaslow a celebrity and why it is that he looked like he had walked into a bathroom that had left a lingering bad smell. But now I have my answer, which is he doesn't think you're a celebrity or an expert. He thinks you're just somebody whose face has enraged Clinton Yates on the website because it doesn't belong next to Dick Vitale.
We were trying to figure out, like, is it alphabetical maybe? But then it was like Jonathan. It's like, no, Zaslow's
Nobody
at the
ever
end.
starts Z at the beginning. So it's certainly not alphabetical. It's you're trying to get people to sign up on the app. And the way you do that is you put some of your biggest celebrities in the front. And that's why you have my face right there with my pick. Everybody wants to know who I pick. Pick the Gators. Everybody sees my face right there and they're like, I would love to compete against this celebrity.
I can't believe Roy no commented me.
I mean, we're talking about Clinton Yates here, man.
I don't know what your relationship is
Jesus,
with Clinton
like
Yates.
it's Clinton Yates.
I don't know why.
You were next to me as I was calling. Where is Clinton?
Yes, I was. I was there.
The show has started. Where is Clinton?
You overslept. That's what happens sometimes.
I mean, you could have said that.
I could have.
Most celebrities don't oversleep. That's why I'm up there.
That's right.
Clinton Yates came after you, and I
heard.
I believe that Clinton Yates has a.
Who?
I believe that Clinton Yates
He's in
has a
Hialeah.
justifiable. I do that with Y's and J's all the time.
It's a Cuban thing.
I can't help it. I called him Ya Morant.
that was hilarious.
I believe Clinton Yates has a reasonable gripe because he's been at ESPN a lot longer than our beloved Jonathan Zaslow. How do you feel, Zaz, about White Lotus? We have been.
Oh my God, this White Lotus. Go on. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, that's all right. I mean, you take
Okay,
it from
all
here.
I'm saying is I've been watching this White Lotus now for 3 seasons, and I'm watching this one. I watch every single week, and I really enjoy the show. Let's not, just brush that under the rug. I like the show, but I sit there and I watch this show every single week, and nothing happens. Nothing happens. Every single week, I sit there waiting for something. Now, something kind of happened this past week. A little incest. Something kind of happened this week. But for the most part, every single week, is there such thing as a little incest? Every single week, I'm waiting for something to happen. And the only thing that ever happens in the show is in the final episode. Nothing happens the entire season. I'm just sitting there with nothing.
I think that's a fair criticism. I think I've said before, some version of White Lotus has had 4 episodes so far this season and produced about an episode and a half of material. But when he says a little incest, spoiler alert, because I've gotten in trouble for that this week, I did have a visceral reaction. It was a strangely visceral reaction. Again, spoiler alert here, so that he's left it vague enough that you don't know who the incest is between. And I'm not actually sure, because I don't know how this particular definition works, but brothers kissing on the lips in a way that's not French kissing made me recoil, even though they're actors and not actually brothers.
No, that's the right response.
They tricked me into thinking that they're brothers, and I did have a recoil on that was instantaneous on, wait a minute, adult brothers kissing, that feels an uncommon kind of wrong for me in a way that I haven't seen on television before.
Unless you betray your brother, and Michael had to kiss Fredo on the lips in Cuba to let him know it was you, Fredo.
Yeah, that was okay.
It was you.
No one recoiled. Like, that was like, yeah, I get it. I get what he's doing there. What we saw in the White Lotus, like, I don't get what he's doing there. And part of the weirdness, I guess, was that one of them seemingly really enjoyed it, and the other one did not like it at all. And I was like,
well, he was questioning whether or not he liked it,
here?
I think is really what's
Well,
going on.
they were on X.
They were on several things. And a boat.
Again, I should have said a bunch of different spoiler alerts, and I did not. So
Oh,
now-
couldn't refuse
People are going to be
because of the
mad.
implication.
People are going to
It
be
happens
mad.
every time. But I thought I was okay because it was last Sunday, and now it's Thursday.
Last
and you
week,
guys
that's
told
last
me.
week, yeah.
Well, we're supposed to do spoiler Wednesday, Dan, not spoiler Thursday.
But that didn't make you, like, that didn't shock you as much as Sam Rockwell's monologue, right?
Well, that's another spoiler.
How did they
that's-
put both
What
of
an
those in the
episode.
same episode? A show that gives you nothing every single week, nothing every year. Nothing happens in this show. They gave you both of those in the same
saying
episode.
nothing happens in White
Nothing
Lotus
happens.
is being you're someone who doesn't like foreplay.
Nothing.
That's what White Lotus is. White Lotus is just hours and hours of foreplay.
Jeremy,
leading
foreplay
to,
expert?
Well,
I mean,
Quite the visual we've
I
created.
mean, yeah.
Oh, did you see that?
I mean,
We don't need to be doing foreplay after incest. Like we don't need to be. They literally.
well, no, I'm not talking about the
No,
incest.
but they literally gave you that last week. They gave you what is the promise of whatever that party's going to become between brothers and others. What are you guys smirking about back there?
Oh my God, Jeremy's
Just picturing Jeremy.
Let me see it. Let me look at your tongue.
Yeah, let me see that thing.
Let's see it. Say tsitsipas.
not going to do that.
You did create, Jeremy, for everybody the discomfort of really, Jeremy, you're going to be confident foreplay guy.
I like it.
Hey,
do you do
man.
that? Do you do that fist bump?
Everywhere else, I am a confident person, just not this studio.
Well, but that one,
Hell
though,
yeah, brother.
Look, a lot of people
like it too.
can be confident about their abilities with foreplay. Very few would say so out loud among their friends.
Real ones, though.
The number of people who would say, put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Are you good at foreplay? At Le Batard Show. And do you want to hear your friend talk about how he's good at foreplay? Because there are two things that I don't want to imagine among any of my friends, any of them. I don't want to imagine any of them embarking upon foreplay. I don't want to imagine any of you wiping your ass either. Those are the two things I'd like to keep out of my life for forevermore.
A little secret: just say Ryan Lingerhans over and over again with your tongue.
I thought it was Sid Sipples. I thought that's what you were doing.
Well, depends.
I don't want to talk about this anymore. I find myself to be deeply disturbed by everything we're talking about.
But I did
here.
get you thinking about Ryan Lingerhans.
I didn't need that in my life. Thank you.
Think about him the next time.
I really don't want to think about any of this anymore. The thing that I did want to ask you guys, because I'm watching something happening here that I haven't seen a lot of, and I would ask you in my entire life, I haven't seen a lot of it, and I would ask you if you guys believe that what is presently happening is going to be enduring for Shane Gillis. Shane Gillis is the most popular comic in the world right now. After, what are you guys laughing about back there?
I'm just saying Ryan Lingerhans. I'm just taking this thing for a walk. See how it works.
Taking what?
A walk?
Why don't you run
This
up the
technique.
flagpole, see who salutes?
And you?
Please, I don't want to imagine.
Oh, no. What are we doing?
Whoa!
You got
I'm bleeping that.
Hey,
I'm
wait,
sorry.
wait.
Way too far on that one.
Audio
it.
audience isn't going to know.
Wrong.
Oh.
If you ain't, you're doing it wrong. Bones, I'll fist you.
The thing that I wanted to ask you guys about Shane Gillis is he is presently selling out arenas in less than a day, where he puts the tickets on sale and they sell out right away. And that's not something I've ever seen in my life of any comedian. But whatever it is that you imagine to be the most enduring comedians, because I remember Kevin Hart famously sold out a football stadium and was the first comedian to do that, not just in Philadelphia, but that any of us had seen. And the question I'm asking you guys, is Shane Gillis going to go down with Richard Pryor and all of these all-time greats, as he's done Saturday Night Live twice in the last 11 months, and he is helping Saturday Night Live more than Saturday Night Live is helping him, and he's done it twice in 11 months after being let go by Saturday Night Live without ever appearing on Saturday Night Live. So there aren't a lot of stories like this.
I mean, first things first, he's got to get out of the West.
Dan-
Shane Gillis Alexander is the joke he's making there. Is that-
Oh,
that's what it was?
It's never good when you have to explain it to the co-host because
Shea
he's just
Gilgeous Alexander might not be a
you
bad
didn't
one
even
either.
say get out of the West in what sport? You
I
went
knew
so
the
Yeah, in
sport.
hockey, yeah,
I knew
yeah.
the sport. I knew the sport. I didn't get the reference though.
Yeah, the
But
Kings.
then when you got it,
I like it.
you were smiling like I said Ryan Lingerhans.
I like it.
Dan, to be honest, though, I think he needs the longevity, right? Like, he's come onto the scene so quickly from the time that he was working in Philly and doing his own thing to now getting to Austin, doing stuff with Rogan, and, like, really exploding in that scene. He needs the longevity of what a Richard Pryor would do, what an Eddie Murphy would do, what a Dave Chappelle would do, where you have these year in, year out. He's putting out great specials. He's selling out these arenas, but he continues to evolve his act as he matures.
That's an excellent point for Richard Pryor as an example, and Kevin Hart, who's shown that he has longevity. There's also Andrew Dice Clay and Dane Cook, guys that were like the biggest acts at the time, but of a time.
Dice is back, by the way.
Joe Rogan's numbers, as he continues to help an era of comedy that looks different than most before it, his numbers have dropped. He's no longer the number one podcast in America. Midas Touch has almost doubled his numbers recently. And part of the reason for it is a lot of his listeners are really upset about the Elon Musk, Joe Rogan, that class of richness, talking to them about the sacrifices that they need to make on behalf of America. They're upset about Elon Musk. Elon Musk, you guys been watching what's been happening with Tesla and the Tesla stock and how it is. He is just getting obliterated because we were talking earlier about likability. It seems like Elon Musk isn't polling well with anybody because it's almost impossible to be likable when you're that rich, when so many of the people absorbing you have the issues that they have with and around money. They just, I don't know who gets to be the rich person who's hugely likable when
who's
they're
the billionaire who people
famous for being rich.
Right. And Bill Burr kind of nailed this one on the head. They also don't like being told what to do by a guy that, the system kind of worked out for you. Like under Joe Biden, you became the richest man on the planet. Like, what is your problem? As a billionaire, like, how are you so mad with this country? Why do you want to change everything about this country when it kind of worked out?
Because it's not just white people.
The place that Elon Musk finds himself in at the moment, I'm curious whether he knew what he was in for, whether he could have had any idea. Because anyone can get around and get behind the idea of, yes, please, slash government inefficiency. That seems like a great idea to just slash that. But the intended and unintended consequences of that, when you're doing something like paying $44 billion to be the popular high school kid who has bought Twitter, my guess is that he had not accounted for the backlash on, we don't like you. Like, I thought that was what he was trying to buy. It wasn't just power and influence that he was trying to buy. I thought he was trying to buy.
You think
also,
he thought this was going to make him popular?
I thought he didn't think it was going to make him this unpopular.
Yeah, because usually if politicians that climb aboard the Trump train, it's worked out, won the popular vote, and they do see, at least within their own party, their star ascend. It hasn't been the case for Elon Musk. That could also be because part of the campaign, even though he was adjacent to the campaign, the size and scope of his job, it wasn't really a campaign issue. So there is a bait and switch aspect to all the power that he's getting. But yeah, this is billionaires. It's a type of super villain. It's like a Bond villain type of guy. No one's like, Bond villain is the path to likability.
No, he's Lex Luthor, is what it feels like, right?
I don't know how it is that you get to likable when what people associate with you is you're the richest person in the world. And he's not anymore, right? Like the amount of, if you can give me some of the numbers on how much money he has cost Tesla recently and himself, it is a bit breathtaking, and I don't even understand how it is that you can lose these sums or make these sums of money, even if you are on the cusp of innovation and the future and a gasless society that runs on electric cars.
Elon Musk is still the #1 richest person in the world, and that'll only get better because the Commerce Secretary was on Fox yesterday telling everyone to buy Teslas, which is super legal.
But imagine you have somebody who is the richest person in the world, has gone through all these things, and is still the richest person in the world, even though he lost all this money on stock. So how far ahead was he to then tumble to then still be there?
Bezos lost half of his wealth in the divorce, and then quickly made it right back immediately after being divorced because of the separation between the wealthiest people in the world now and the people who don't have money.
Yeah, percentages on interest. Like, you can make that back very, very easily. The Tesla thing, though, like, there's a subtext to why he did that thing at the White House, too, is because when he purchased X, he borrowed money to purchase X, and as collateral, he put up shares of Tesla. So if it dips below a certain price, that puts the X thing in jeopardy.
Let's go now here to this highlight thing that Mike and Tony did. I'd like to watch this together because what would you guys tell people by way of tease on what this is?
Well, I would love for people to come out on Friday night. The Cyclones are playing. Fridays are open to the public. It's the only day that Battle Court is open to the public. It is free to attend. We are going to have a big crew out there. A lot of people from the show are going to be rooting our Cesta Cyclones, even though they're just the Cyclones now. It's hard. Cesta Cyclones is so close to my heart. But we're going to be out there causing a ruckus, causing a scene. Cheap drinks. Come on out and have a good time with us.
Dan, this is part of the Tony Tonight series where we uncover it's my love letter to Miami and the things that we do and the places that we go. A big piece of Miami history is highlight and understanding what that means in its context of the sport and what it means to Miami and the Hispanic culture that it comes from Spain down to Miami. I talked to Mike, who's obviously a co-owner of one of the teams.
Good get.
Yeah, great get.
Well, this was also several months ago, so I'm going to be made very uncomfortable with how I look.
Fat? Were you fat?
Yes, you could say that.
Whatever. And then we got players, we got coaches, we got a whole bunch of people. So this is Tony Tonight invades highlight.
All right, we're here with the king of the battle court. We're here with the mayor of the Magic City Fronton, Mike Ryan Ruiz, owner of the Cyclones.
Co-owner.
Co-owner of the Cyclones.
Co-owner.
Where's your other co-owner?
I think Bahamar.
It's a nice spot.
Yeah.
guys-
he's
guys-
already in Cancun, depending on how you look at it. The season hasn't
going the other
exactly gone
way.
our way.
How does it feel to be an owner of a highlight team?
Battle court team.
Battle court.
There is a difference. For the uninitiated, there is the great sport of highlight, which originated in the Basque region. And what Battle Court has done is applied a team concept to it. It works kind of like team racquetball in a sense. Florida's the only place where this sport is played in this country. And Battle Court is a very unique version of the sport that is played nowhere else. So it's Battle Court.
I feel like growing up, highlight used to be a big deal, right? Back in the 80s, you would have this place packed. Thousands of people watching highlight.
Yeah.
The transition from then to now, like what's happened with highlight as a sport?
Well, I think the sport is right now at an exciting inflection point, and it's accessible nationwide via YouTube, the Highlight app, watch ESPN and ESPN3. I wasn't quite at the age where it was peaking and it was a place to see and be seen, but I'm of the age where these places started closing down. Jai Alai is still kind of cooking, keeping the sport alive, but there used to be plenty of other places nearby where you can watch highlight, and it kind of got sad, and our show has a very proud history of trying to do its best to revive it. Come on, Stugotz! Pelota! It's a real natural fit that the Le Batard Show and cast members adjacent to it are linking up with
Reviving
Battle Court
it.
and trying to revive it. I think you've been out here for a game before.
Multiple times I've been out here.
It's a fun atmosphere. We get people into it. Our side in particular starts chanting and acting all sorts of ridiculous. It's a real fun way to spend a Friday night. And well, all I want is people to give it a chance.
Did you know how much was going to go into being a highlight owner?
I can't lie. When I was first approached by the fine folks at Battle Court, I thought it would be largely ceremonial and just an opportunity to cosplay Chris Cody as this ridiculous sports team owner that would parody some really outrageous sports owners. But a funny thing happened when we first got involved. We really liked it, and they really empowered us to really manage the roster. We built relationships. I watch so much highlight. I'm not gambling again. I honor the code. I don't take action in the sport, but I like scouting. I like pretending like I know what I'm talking about. Like I said, we have a proud track record. If you follow the sport closely enough, you can kind of GM it.
Do you think that highlight is a sport that is accessible enough for kids to start growing up and playing it, right?
You know, we were talking about that before. It's a hard sport to get invested in because anybody can pick up a pickleball paddle, anybody can pick up a racket or a soccer ball or a pigskin and toss it around. There's not many places down here where you can pick up a Cessa. Number one, they're very hard to find. They're all handmade. And find a wall where you can fire off a pelota at 100 miles per hour without doing some serious damage. It's a very dangerous sport. So I know it's really difficult to play.
Have you put on a cesta?
I have.
Have you thrown the pelota against the wall?
Yeah, it's very hard. It feels unnatural. You want to turn your wrist, you want to turn your elbow, you want to do all sorts of things that'll actually injure your arm. I have the ultimate amount of respect for people that do this. Maybe you'll have the opportunity to put a Cessa on your arm. It'll feel very unnatural. I always have to remind myself of that anytime there's like an unforced error and I get frustrated with the player. What they're doing out there is insane.
It's like, how about you do it?
I would literally die. Not joking. If you put me out there in an intense regulation game of Battle Court, I would die. There's a million decisions that they have to make in a given 3-set match that their life literally depends on.
What I like about Battle Court is it almost has the idea of like a live, where you get teams together and you can start rooting for stuff. What's your favorite thing about Battle Court?
Well, it's going to sound corny, but in getting to know the sport and getting to know the players and knowing people's backgrounds, this is a passion play. These people are deeply passionate about this sport. There's no other way that they would find themselves here on the one place on the planet that plays this brand of highlights. The least I can do is take the time with you, speak in front of cameras, and afford our platform on the LeBatard Show to really let people to pound the table for something that is really cool and gnarly. Like people shouldn't really be doing this. It's so dangerous and cool to look at, especially when someone's diving after a rebote off this one huge piece of glass. I think 2 players have broken. That's how hard this bulletproof glass. 2 players have broken with just a serve, and they dive into this net full speed and find a way to acrobatically not injure themselves. I mean, how can you not love it?
Can you explain to me some of the intricacies of the words in highlight? Because there's a lot of great words in highlight.
Chula.
And it kicks to the inside perfectly to score.
Chick Chack.
Reyna. Backhand to the outside. That's saved by Julian.
Rebote.
Line, he passes. Rebote saved by Julian.
Something very specific to Battle Court here, the Magic City bounce.
Ooh.
On the floor. I'm not exactly sure what the Magic City bounce is. Okay. Anytime the ball does something you don't expect, you just say, Magic City bounce.
That's classic, yeah.
There are a couple players here that have like signature tosses.
Yeah.
Lopez on the Cyclones has this crazy backhand shot.
What a catch by Lopez. Here's the backhand, low runner.
He's new to the game of Battle Court. He's been playing over in the Basque region on courts that are 3 times the size of this.
Wow.
So you can imagine on this Battle Court fronton with that bulletproof glass, a player that's known for his backhand shot. It is a gnarly shot.
Rebote rifled to the outside and tipped. Beautifully played by Lopez.
Do you have a favorite player?
Our team captain, Manu.
Not Ginobili for those.
No, but in terms of stature in the sport, he's better than Manu Ginobili.
Wow.
He's the best backcourter in the world. And he has been on the Cyclones since Battle Court's inception. There are a lot of great people here in the sport. I've struck up a friendship with Mike Carballo, and I have the ultimate respect for Manu. So those 2 guys, they're lifelong Cyclones, no matter what happens, even if there are other incarnations of the
Look at
Cyclones.
that beautiful jacket.
Anybody that's ever won a championship with the Cyclones or plays for the Cyclones this year has this beautiful bomber jacket that cost me way too much money that I'm not telling my wife about.
She's not going to see this. Cynthia, do not watch. Mike Ryan Ruiz, thank you. The mayor of the Magic City Fronton, the king of Battle Court himself, the owner, co-owner of the Cyclones. We dropped the Cesta, just the Cyclones.
Just
thank you
Cyclones.
for your time, man.
Oh, it's an honor.
Mi gente, thank you for watching Tony Tonight.
The Boston Celtics have just sold for a record amount of money for a North American franchise, topping the Commanders that went for about $6 billion. The Boston Celtics have sold. A good time to sell coming off of a championship. I'm a little surprised that it's more than the most expensive football team.
I hope the new owner relocates them.
That would be hilarious.
Whatever, man. F them.
To Seattle or something. See you, Boston.
Little Rock, Arkansas.
Whatever. I hope they lose the team.
Did I just hear you mutter or whisper? Was it mutter, whisper, F them?
Yeah. Anyone want to step to that statement about the Boston Celtics?
No, cosign.
Anyone?
Nope. I'm
Same
with you.
here.
Wholeheartedly agree.
Thank you.
F Boston.
Thank you.
That's a lot of winning that's being done in Boston, though, with their basketball team where they win the championship and then sell for more than a football team. It's like that's or sell for more than any football team ever.
Do they get a banner for that?
They should.
David, want to come back on and tell us what a bad business investment it is to buy a sports team because you're going to lose money?
New guy got ripped off.
They made $6 billion in 3 years.
Classic overpay.
Speaking of Boston, what do you think of Marchand?
I'm excited for Marchand.
Really?
We got you.
Yeah.
I am. I'm excited.
I look at you different now.
I was, I'm trying to win another Stanley Cup here. All right, you're talking about I'm looking.
Why'd you bring this loser aboard?
He's one of the great postseason players. All right, he's a rat, but he's now our guy. All right.
Last 2 postseasons, I haven't been impressed with him.
I was we knocked him last postseason. All right? But now he's on our team, and if the guys in that dressing room are okay with it, then you kind of need to be okay with it. All right, you're not above the team.
That is a pretty good point.
If the guys, if Sam Bennett is okay with it, Mike Ryan, you better be okay with it.
We were talking about Shane Gillis Alexander earlier, and for those of you who do not remember, this is something that happened. The Oklahoma City Thunder traded Paul George for Shane Gillis Alexander and 5 first-round picks.
You leave a little bit of context out when you say it like that, though.
And Danilo Gallinari.
No,
that's what you were getting
That's
at.
not the context, all right? It's a little bit unfair. I'm not trying to defend the Clippers, all right? It was a great trade by Oklahoma City, but you kind of need to add the Kawhi Leonard part.
Kawhi.
Come on.
Well, I will talk about Kawhi Leonard for a second here because I find his story to be hugely interesting in the shadows in that it would appear that his body broke down during and with the watch and care of the San Antonio Spurs, and that whatever his gripes are that have never been made public in his voice, that he left San Antonio, at least in part, because of everything done to his body that has subsequently harmed his career in a way that is obvious, because we do not talk about Kawhi Leonard anymore, and when it's the Clippers getting 50 from somebody, they're getting it from James Harden.
But I think we don't talk about him anymore because there's nothing to talk about. Like, there's nothing new. We've been doing this with Kawhi Leonard. He left in 2019, left Toronto in 2019. So we're going on 6 years.
Oh, no,
of the same.
But my point on that is, it is in the middle of the super team era, Kawhi Leonard won a championship by himself. And whatever that cost his body is something we haven't seen that dude since. Like, it's been that 6 years of what should be his prime or something close to his prime when he was at the height of his powers and at the top of the sport. His body has clearly betrayed him.
To that point, it's like you have James Harden and Kawhi Leonard on the same team, and like we don't talk about the Clippers ever.
And they're
not
good.
even the best team in their city.
They're really good, though. Like, that's the crazy part is they've been good without him, and when he's there, they can beat just about anybody in the West. That's what's really wild right now is there are all these teams right around the play-in. You have the Timberwolves, who made a run last year. The Clippers, they have the same, not the same winning percentage, but they're both 18 games back, so they're sitting at 7 and 8. And then you have Golden State right there as the 6th seed, just a game ahead of them. So all those teams are vying to square up against whoever the 3 seed is. But man, when you're thinking about being Oklahoma City or Houston or the Lakers as these 1, 2, and 3 seeds, the Clippers, to me, of all those teams, might actually be the team I want the least. They're deep, they're big,
they could have won the
physical,
championship
and if Kawhi's
last year.
there, man, they're good.
They could have won the championship last year if they'd been healthy.
Yeah, but I think part of the reason that I'm shaking my head is we've seen this movie before. We're going to get to the playoffs, and he's not going to play.
No, that's totally fair. And for that matter, when you're looking at one of the other teams there, it's Golden State. Like, Jimmy is going to be there for the playoffs because he hasn't played for a year, so he's going to be available.
Right.
Going back to Boston and trades for a second, can we look back at the Mookie Betts trade? Can we examine
Oh my God.
The Mookie Betts trade that has to have Boston Red Sox fans still upset?
Well, it's really crazy because when you look back at it 5 years ago, obviously Mookie Betts now just won a World Series with the Dodgers. They're one of the greatest teams you've ever seen. And the Red Sox were on a path when they had Mookie Betts and a whole bunch of these other guys coming up, Xander Bogaerts, who's no longer there as well. The reason this came up recently is because Alex Verdugo was an outfielder for the Yankees last year. Not the best season. Still a free agent, kind of surprisingly. He's been a big league player for several years. But he was the headliner in the Mookie Betts trade. So when you look back, on February 10th, 2020, the Red Sox traded Mookie Betts and David Price to the Los Angeles Dodgers in exchange for Alex Verdugo, Jeter Downs, and Connor Wong. Woof. That was the trade that they made. And it's the fact that the Red Sox are even a competitive franchise when they made a trade that bad shows you that they've actually done a pretty good job. Otherwise, that is one of the most overwhelmingly terrible trades I can think of, maybe in baseball history. Mookie Betts is one of the best players of this era by a long shot.
We were talking with David Sampson earlier this week, and he objected to what was a prisoner of the moment contention. He alleged that I was saying that this Dodger roster, you can make the argument that's the best roster that's ever been assembled, and the over-under on wins for them this season is 104.5. And he mentioned the Mariners team of Randy Johnson, Griffey, that won, was it 111 games or
116, I believe.
116 games, but that team wasn't over-under 104.5 before the season. I've never seen a team that is expected to win 104 games. That's not something that I've seen in my lifetime.
Can you imagine taking the over? I've been to the Dodgers over in the season, a 104.
I mean, what is that? Like, you can assemble the argument that Betts, Freeman, and Ohtani, you put those three together, that whatever you thought Babe Ruth's murderer's row was in 1927, 100 years ago, that it's not the Dodger lineup of today, because they got Ruth and they got Betts and they got Freeman. Like, they've got Babe Ruth.
Maybe the closest that you have in terms of an era of free agency is the 98 Yankees, but I don't think there's anything close to what you're seeing. They have a player better than Babe Ruth, and he might not even be their best hitter on their team.
It's the height of winter, but it's also a great time to gather with friends and enjoy some Miller Lite. That's right. Miller Lite has the taste you know you can depend on. No games, no gimmicks, just that beautiful white can and a great tasting beer for people like you and me who love the taste of beer. Because Miller Lite is brewed for taste. It hits different than other light beers, with simple ingredients like malted barley for rich, balanced toffee note flavors and that iconic golden color that we all know and love. And here's the most important part for me. I mean, I like all the things, but 96 calories and just 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces, Miller Time is always a good time. The original light beer since 1975 and still the very best one. Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you, or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Tastes like Miller Time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
That's right. It's Thursday Thunder, and it's brought to you by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Juju, what do we got?
Man. The best Thursdays in the world. One of them today starts right now. And I'm going with some March Madness picks. You got to know it. You got to dig it. First off, I got to say, the beautiful show today, guys. Beautiful show. But neither here nor there just yet. With these Thursday Thunder this week, I got 5 on it. I'm going with all 5 seeds. You got to know. First 5 seed I'm going with Michigan. Money line to win the game. You got to know it. You got to feel it. If you don't, get lost. The second seed, or the second number 5 seed I'm going with is Penny Hardaway and them boys. Anthony Hardaway, or as my dog Tony like to call him, Anthony. What you like to call him, Tony? Afrini Hardaway. You got to know. I'm going with the Memphis Tigers to win. Money line. You dig ski. And with the last leg of this Thursday Thunder, I'm going to the Women's League. I'm traveling all the way to Tennessee to my sisters. I think they are going to drag USF tomorrow. I mean, they're going to beat the tar off of those ladies. Salute to USF. But I'm taking number 5 seed Tennessee to win by 19.5 at least tomorrow. You got to know it. Lock them in.
Juju, I don't know how closely you follow NASCAR or how familiar you were with Ryan Blaney. I'm sure much of our audience is NASCAR agnostic. How'd you like that interview?
It was good. It was fun. His microphone. I think the NASCAR microphones, they don't work as well as the regular people's mics.
Something going on
right?
there. Not sure what's going on there.
But I think it was a wonderful segment. He was a great sport. He leaned in. He even answered Dan's awkward question that shocked the world yesterday. Hats off to Buddy. And he does look fantastic in a hat.
Oh, he can rock a cap.
What is the worst part of the life?
So bad.
Oh man, and I'm so happy to see we got a celebrity in the building today. One of the most popular celebrities, Andrew Zaslow. Oh my God!
Whoa!
That's why Andrew's atop that celebrity pick'em board.
You dig it? My bad. John, his close friends call him Andrew. Y'all call him Jonathan. But yeah, bro. I agree with you, bro. Like White Lotus this season, absolutely nothing has happened, bro.
Nothing.
Like,
good to see you, Juju. I do need to ask though, when you say that USF is going to get the tar beaten off of them by those Tennessee ladies, can you also salute them while you're saying they're going to get the tar beaten off of them?
yes, sir. It's required. It's in my contract. You have to salute them after taking a page out of the Devil's book and saying they're going to get the tar beat off of them.
All right.
So yeah, you got to. And the last piece about White Lotus, so much of nothing has happened. Like, it's beautiful scenery, wonderful scenery, but so much of nothing has happened that you guys are like, I would say the word, but I can't say the word. You guys are fawning over a Sam Rockwell monologue. Like,
true.
That's the most boring thing in the world. The monologue needs to get over itself just a tad bit. Neither here nor there. It was very freaky. Spoiler alert.
Someone else who doesn't seem to like foreplay. Just saying.
I did spend the entire part of that monologue thinking, like, most of it was just me thinking to myself, how would I react if one of my close friends was telling me all of that? I was envisioning me being in that situation and what I would, like, I was stunned that Walton Goggins' character allowed him. Like, there wasn't a single moment in the middle of that where he goes, "Are you effing with me?"
I think he played it pitch perfect. It's a lot to absorb.
But wouldn't you say to your friend at some point, "Are you effing with me right now?"
Perhaps, yeah, I guess. It depends on the friend.
There'd have been some type of interjection on my part.
He did. He made a.
Yeah, I would have asked him, "Are you okay, bro?
Something.
You good?"
Something.
We talk White
What'd you
Lotus
say,
this,
Tony?
White Lotus that. Like Thursday, best Thursday of the year right here. And we're talking about White Lotus for 6 hours and kissing. And let's focus on hoops. How about that, Juju?
Hell yeah, but because today is legally, contractually, the first day that we were allowed to talk about White Lotus because it's been the allotment of days. But speaking of hoops, I saw that you guys had a segment, the end of the segments discussing the Boston Celtics trade. I mean, the sale of the Boston Celtics. And I heard my brother Andrew Zaslow talking about how
they're relocating.
Yeah, they need to relocate. And I just want to just put some accoutrement in the air just to remind my brother that the Heat still have a ways to go before they even matter. You know what I mean? Some would say that Jimmy Butler trade rivals the Nico Harrison trade.
And if they said
but
that, they'd be
here nor
wrong.
there.
Okay, but we do need to acknowledge, Juju, the Heat can't do anything about them not being born while the Celtics were winning all of those titles, because since the Miami Heat have existed, they've won more titles than the Boston Celtics. Like, that's the only way we can measure those two franchises. The Heat can't do anything about not being alive in the 60s and 70s. The Heat have won more titles than the Celtics since 1988.
Speaking of being born and alive during the 70s and 60s, happy birthday, Pat Riley. I don't know if we got to that today, but happy birthday to the big dog.
Happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
Some would say that this should be the last birthday that he occupies this position because the Heat are definitely not in the right place. I don't put too much stock into the draft positioning and all of that because you only get one Cooper Flag per draft. You only get one Victor Wembanyama that you missed out to go to the play-in, the championship.
Thank you.
Get well soon. Tony was right.
They went
You
to the
feel me?
finals.
Yep.
And it cost
Congratulations.
everything.
Yep. What did it cost you?
Everything.
But now, but back to Tony though. Speaking of the season of basketball, I got my top 5 March Madness moments in the history of Middle Earth.
Oh, let's do this.
Yes, sir. OLI, because it was the Big East Championship. Kemba Walker crosses up buddy from Pittsburgh, fade away.
That was electric. That's what got my brother into basketball. He became briefly a Charlotte Bobcats fan because Kemba Walker was there, because the first tournament he ever watched included that shot going into the tournament.
It got your brother into basketball.
It did.
Fun fact.
You're welcome
Hell
for that
yeah.
information. People care. People care about me in disguise, all right?
That was not nice, I feel.
No one's nice to me.
That was not
mean.
nice by Chris.
It was
That
really mean.
Very condescending.
Yeah, a little.
Why are they being mean to you today?
Today?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm here today. This is what I'm noticing.
It's constant.
But he does have the golden vocal cords. You know what I mean? He's blessed up with some bangers. Salute to Jeremy Taché in the singing voice.
Love you, Juju.
Number 5, Chris Webber's timeout. Yeah, man. Fab Five against North Carolina. That timeout heard around the world. It ended one of the most epic runs in the history of basketball. Number 4.
By the way, I loved Michigan growing up. All right. I was way into the Fab Five. You know, when they won the national title in '88, Glenn Rice. So from that point on, I was a Michigan kid. And then we get to the early 90s there, and you got I was heartbroken when Webber called that timeout.
Jeremy, how was your brother?
Yeah.
How'd your brother handle that?
He was just absolutely crushed.
Number 4, Jimmy Valvano's NC State slays Houston at the buzzer for the national title. And he runs around the court. Oh my God, I see that every day almost. But what a moment for the world.
He's looking for somebody to hug, running around that court. Can't find anybody to hug.
Right, luscious locks too, just flowing in the wind, just flowing. Number 3, Christian Laettner from Grant Hill, touchdown, Duke. What a moment. Unless you hate Duke, I'm sorry, Taylor Vippolis, but that was a great moment.
Yeah, my brother really hated that one.
Number 2, Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese. The Tony Yayo heard around the world.
Absolutely.
That will go down as one of the biggest moments in women's sports history. It sparked a new age of WNBA basketball, now unrivaled hatred. Like, oh my God, salute to all the sisters around the world who made their rivals last. You dig it. And number 1, you can't deny this. Chris Jenkins, buzzer beater versus North Carolina in Villanova.
That was crazy because was that the Marcus Page shot before the Chris Jenkins shot? That's why that is like maybe the greatest ending any of us will ever witness, because it had 2 of the greatest shots ever and we don't even remember the first one.
That was Villanova, right?
Right? Yeah, that's the Villanova game.
I mean, Jay Wright's non-reaction. It's unbelievable.
You gotta act like you've been there before, Zaz.
I mean, no emotion whatsoever. Just, all right, handshake line.
That's
Go.
the right reaction.
Salesperson.
Jeremy, and then put that against Jeremy's reactions to like a regular season game winner.
I care, okay? Don't knock my passion.
Jeremy was scraping Cheeto juice off his thumbs.
Oh, man.
Neither here nor there.
Juju, we got any polls today?
Hell yeah, Dan went crazy on the polls. I think he was trying to make up for the polls yesterday by only having one. So I'm going to go through them. Do you know why anyone was putting feathers in their cap? 86% of the audience says no, they do not. Will you always stop on someone falling on a treadmill? 92% of the audience says yes, they will.
Big number
win for Dan.
Yeah.
Huge win for Dan.
Right? Oh, man, huge loss for Dan coming up. What is a penguin more of? A fish or a bird?
Unbelievable.
83% of the audience says a bird. It literally has feathers. Come on, man.
It has wings. It has a beak. It's a bird.
I mean, who are the 17%?
It's Dan's burners. What annoys you more? No turn signal or someone who forgot to turn their turn signal off?
This is big.
76% of the audience says no turn signal.
Yeah.
I'm in the minority there.
It is really annoying when someone's just like, their blinker has been on for 4 miles.
Yeah, because driving to Miami, my expectation is you're never going to turn on your turn signal.
Now you're messing with me.
If you have it on and I'm making room for you, like now I'm stuck in the in-between here. I'm overthinking this one.
Hell yeah. Do you think a NASCAR wedding is more debaucherous than a regular wedding? Someone maybe had to Google how to spell debaucherous, but neither here nor there. 87% of the audience says yes, it is more debaucherous.
Yeah, I could see that.
Oof, big poll coming up. Oof. Is Sunday the end of last week or the beginning of this week?
Wow.
This one shook the world. 69% of the audience says the end of last week.
Wow.
Jeremy, what do you think about that number?
Nice.
The Best Sports Thursday, sponsored by Jeremy Fistbump. Not sponsored by Jeremy Fistbump. The Best Sports Thursday, sponsored by Evan Williams Bourbon. Go get you a taste. Thanksgiving, NFL opening night, the Masters first round, or the start of March Madness.
Come on, Masters.
52% of the audience says the start of March Madness.
Today. So we made it.
Yeah.
We are here.
I heard that, Jeremy. Go get you a taste.
That poll was brought to you by Evan Williams Bourbon. Game Day's #1 pour. Evan Williams, Kentucky, straight bourbon whiskey. Bardstown, Kentucky, 43 to 45% alcohol by volume. Enjoy responsibly, 21 plus.
Delicious. Do you know what highlight is? 70% of the audience says yes, they do. Salute to Manu always.
This is our audience. I'm worried about the 30%. What is wrong? We communicate for a living. We're doing something wrong with like 3 out of 10 people don't know what highlight is.
Never heard of it.
Messaging is bad on this show.
Is the sports anchor profession dying? 74% of the audience says yes, it is. Man, Christine Lisi tapped in and said no with like 5,000 O's. So salute to my sister, Christine Lisi. And the last poll, the most important poll, some would say, are you good at foreplay? We know Jeremy is. 67% of the audience says yes, they are.
It was right there for them. We needed 2 more percent.
Those are your polls.
Thanks, Juju.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Juju.
Thanks, Andrew.
Good stuff.
Andrew,
Good to
the
see
Iceman.
Andrew.
The Iceman says,